Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. Or if this is your first time here, then hi, my name is Carrington. A big, huge, special welcome to you. I hope that you will consider hitting that subscribe button, clicking the little bell, so you'll be notified of all my future uploads, as well if this is your 10th time, 100th time, 50th time, second time here, and you still have not yet hit that subscribe button or click the little bell, then I absolutely invite you to do so. And let's go ahead and let's get into today's video. I knew when I saw this that I had to have this palette. Like, had to have. Not like, oh, I really want that. No, it was a need, not a want. Just so we're clear. There was a little bit of... Okay, so they had shipped this to me in a like bubble mailer. It was wrapped up. It wasn't wrapped up the best, but I had ordered two. The first two came broken, so I emailed customer service. Customer service was like, we'll send you a return label. You have 10 days to get it back to us. I was like, okay. The moment they sent me that return label, put it in the mail, sent it out. Then they sent me back another, package. And instead of there being two, like the two that I had paid for, there was this loaner, just this one. So I once again emailed back customer service and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but you have sent me two broken pallets. And now instead of sending me the two that I paid for that I had shipped back to you, you instead send me this and not the other one. So instead of saying really much of anything back to me, probably like at all, they just refunded me. They were just like, here you go. They didn't say anything back to me. It just showed up on my payment method that it was refunded. So I never got my second palette. I was planning on doing a giveaway with the second palette, but I think for now I will just we'll just use this. So it was a little bit disappointing. So I'm planning on doing a look while we talk about my house being haunted. Yes, my house being haunted. There have been some instances where I'm like, I'm pretty sure my house is haunted. Of course, my husband is one that doesn't really believe in ghosts. I don't know so much that he doesn't believe in ghosts, or if it's more like he would be so freaked out that the things that like I'm telling him or we're experiencing are actually ghosts, that he's just trying to come up with like a reason. So we're gonna go ahead, create a look with this palette while I tell you about my house being haunted, and then I will give you my final thoughts at the end. So if you guys want to hear the story about how my house is haunted, exciting, right? How my house is haunted, as well as what look I create, then definitely, most definitely, keep on watching. Okay, let's do something like really dark and purplish, like using this bottom row. I think that will, one, go best, because I feel like it's like a grayish purple, and we've got black kitties, so I think that'll be the best. So I'm first going to go into the shade right here called Unpleasant Dreams. So let's go ahead and start there. Okay, so the house that we live in is the first house that we have ever purchased together, just purchased in general. Before then, we had done quite a bit of renting. We moved into a place together in February 2012, and we have since just like lived in a couple different places renting wise. And so this house here was owned by his aunt and uncle. And technically they owned it up until the end, until we bought it. But they were kind of they own a couple different properties here in town. And they would rent it out. And then my husband's grandparents lived out on a farm. well, before we had met, his grandparents had gotten old enough, like they were in their, 70s, that they just kind of weren't really able to like take care of the farm themselves. So my aunt and uncle's tenants for this house had moved out, and so they had them move in, and then my husband's dad took over like the farming, and now live out at their place, like bought it from them, live out at their place, whatever. I would say a year to a year and a half before we bought this place. I think we bought in like 2018 or 2019. So about a year to a year and a half before then, his grandma got dementia. And, sometimes the kids would like come in and like, like after work or something, and like come and like talk to them and spend time with her. But every day his grandpa would go out walking. That's just something that he really enjoyed doing. And so he would go out walking. And, that's something that he did every single day. It was like a routine that he had done for years. So even when he was, out at the farm, he would go down the gravel road a little ways and just go for a walk. And, when they had moved in here, he went for a walk every single day. But then it had gotten to the point where like he may be gone for like 10 minutes, and she would like call the cops because she thought he had been gone for hours and nobody knew where he was. Although he was just like on his stroll, Over time though, it was like really, really quickly. He just wasn't really able to take care of her. They had put her in a nursing home. And they tried to visit her as much as humanly possible. Okay, I'm next going to go into the shade. Let's do Drop Dead Gorgeous. So they had, put her in a nursing home, and there would always be somebody that would like come and visit her on the weekends or like after work or something like that. Up until a point, then it got to the point where she couldn't remember anyone. She couldn't remember her husband. She couldn't remember her kids. And so, at that point, they had to visit a lot less often, because if you know about people with like dementia, then you'll know that you coming and visiting them, once they like completely and totally forget who you are, can do more harm than good. So like it could either hurt you. I worked in a nursing home with dementia patients. It could do more harm than good. It could do more harm to the people visiting, because it's just really sad because they can't remember them at all. And so, she may be like somebody, that your loved one might be like, oh, hi, Tony. And you really are, Chad, their son. But to them, they think that you're, Tony. And if you try to tell them, no, I'm your son, that could actually like amp up them. And then it could also make it just like really hard for you to just like, I don't know. It's just like one of those things where like if you've had somebody with dementia forget who you are, it could be really hard. So visiting got to be like a lot less, but people would still try to come and visit and stuff. So it wasn't like they just like left her in there or anything like that. But then about 6 months later, Zach's grandpa found out that he had brain cancer. And so he was an older gentleman, and so he did indeed, try to do treatments, things like that. Unfortunately, he did end up passing away I want to say in like November before we bought the house. Okay, so we know that he like passed away in here. This is not like a super like old house. It's, I think it was like in the 80s maybe. As for like if anyone else has died in this house, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that he passed away, and then she passed away shortly after that, and I want to say May the following year. So he had passed away from brain cancer, and my husband had been wanting to like buy a house for a while. We had been like talking about it, and I wanted like a house that was like newly built, if that, you know, like something that like I know nobody had died in, and like I knew wasn't going to like require a ton of work. I know, that's just me. It is what it is. And so anyways, he had indeed, so his uncle still, his aunt and uncle obviously still own the property, and they were like, you know, the house was like appraised at, I want to say like $120,000 or $130,000. And so he was like, you know, if you guys want to buy it, you know, we'll knock it down to like 100,000. And Zach was like, I think this is great. I get to buy like a house that's been in our family. And of course, here's me like, okay, honey, all right. Okay. So we ended up buying the house back in like March of 2019 or 2018. I'm not 100% for sure on the timelines, but I think, I want to say it's 2019 because my car is a 2018 make and model, and we bought that like well before we had like moved into this place, so had to have been 2019. So we were on kind of like a month-to-month lease with the person we were renting from, and I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but at least here where we bought, we had mentioned like, so we bought the house in March, but our payments didn't actually start until like June. So we noticed that we needed to do a little bit of work on the house. So we didn't move in until about June or July, I would say, after we had gotten some things like fixed up. And at first, everything seemed fine. Like nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Nothing seemed superstitious. You know, nothing like that. Okay, so next time I'm going to go on to is going to be Unhappy Darling, or right here. So, you know, like nothing major had happened. But then shortly, you know, COVID hit. And I feel like that's when kind of like I noticed things the most. So, I have like severe insomnia. I have like severe stress, anxiety, so on and so forth. So I take like a very, very, very sedating medication to make me go to sleep. But once COVID hit, we sent my kids off to go stay with grandma for a little bit because they still are immune compromised. And so I wanted to make sure that like they were well taken care of. And grandma and grandpa got to work from home. They never had to leave. Zach and I were essential workers. I worked in the ER. Sometimes I could be, you know, floated to other areas with potential, you know, COVID positive patients, stuff like that. And Zach worked he worked in a factory and he worked at a gas station at this time. And so he was essential. He had to go in. And we took like a ton of precautions. Like as soon as like we got home, we had like out in my garage, we had like baskets, and we would take our clothes off, come inside, take a shower immediately. If we brought groceries, we sprayed everything down. As soon as we got into the car from we had gotten into the car or whatever, we would immediately Germex, sanitize where we had like grabbed like the bar or whatever to like close the door. Wore masks. We still wear masks everywhere. If we were going over to like, we very rarely went to somebody's house, but we would be the ones that would be responsible for like going to like the grocery store for like his mom and stepdad who had our kids. Like we would go there to like the grocery store, and she would lay like a basket outside, and if it was something that needed to go like in the fridge or like could go bad because it was like, you know, too hot or cold or, you know, whatever the season was, then we could just go and like, you know, we would wipe down everything and put it in this basket. If it could stay out, she has like this like shanty, and we would just leave it on the table there, wipe everything down, throw all the things away, wipe down the fridges, wipe down the doors, wipe down the basket, wipe down everything we could. And then after we had left, she would come out and get it. Or if she came out to like talk to us because like maybe something like was going on with like the kids or whatever, she would stay back, but we would still wear our masks. Like we just took like a lot of precautions. So that's what we did. And we were just like super careful, but me having the amount of anxiety that I do, panicked. Like I panicked. I feel like this is turning into a Halo Eye, and I wasn't really going to do a Halo Eye, but here we are. We're gonna do a Halo Eye. And so, I mean, I just panicked. Like I was just panicking. Not so much like if I got COVID, but what if I brought my kids COVID and something happened to them? And I know it's like, it's always, you know, changing, or like, you know, it wasn't really affecting kids a lot, but my son literally, we cooked hot dogs and marshmallows over a fire, and it got his allergies acting up, and then it turned into bronchitis, and then it turned into pneumonia. Even with meds for the bronchitis, like it just got worse. Like he just, I don't know, he just, you know, gets sick really easy. My daughter's a type 1 diabetic. Just, you know, things like that. And so it just seemed like my insomnia meds just like were not working. Like I just was not sleeping. I would sleep just a few hours. And so that's when I noticed some more of like the creepier things happening in my house. So I don't know if you, like 3 a.m. is around like the witching hour, right? And I would either like fall asleep and then wake up, or I would not fall asleep till like super late, or, you know, like early in the morning or something like that. So just like my kid had a toy that it was like a PJ Masks like a race car, and like inside like this PJ Masks race car, like it would make a noise. So like if you touched it, it would be like PJ Masks, I'll shout hooray, because in the night we save the day. Okay, like just like things like that, like creepily enough, would just like start happening around like 2:30 to 3:30 a.m. like every single night. And so finally I was telling Zach about it, and Zach's like, well, I haven't heard anything. So one night I was awake and I was like, I hear this. And sure enough, I wake up Zach and he hears it and he's like, it's probably the battery. And I was like, well, you go check it out then. And so he goes and he checks it out. And he comes back and he's like, yeah, I think it was the battery. Well, then a couple nights later, I hear this car thing going off. And here's me like, well, I thought he had removed the battery. Like, that's just what I'm thinking. Like, to myself, I'm just sitting here thinking like, well, I thought he had removed this battery. But, so I was like, fine, I'll go take the battery out then since he didn't. So I get up to go and take out said battery. And I open it up. There's no battery in it. This little car is playing and there's no battery in it. Nothing. So I like go and I wake Zach up and I was like, I thought you said you had taken the battery out. Or I was like, did you take the battery out? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, this car is still playing. And he was like, okay. He's like, well, maybe it's just like a glitch in the system. And I'm like, I don't think so. I was like, I'm pretty sure that like our house is haunted. He's like, it's not haunted, Carrington. And I'm like, I think you're a liar, but all right, fine. So then just like weird things would happen. Like stuff would just like fall over in the middle of the night, or like their toys would start playing in the middle of the night, or just like, you know, like weird things like that. So after a while I was like, okay, like clearly like I'm the only one on this. Okay, so next up, so I'm going to take the seance weather right here and just like lightly take like the outsides of my eye. So then in January of this year, we had gotten Duke. We had found him in the dumpster, and so that's where we got him. So we got him from the dumpster. And you know, things were pretty good so far. And then we got Daisy a month later. And when they were little puppies, we kept them in like their crates would be like right next to our bed. So Duke was like right next to me and Daisy was next to my husband. So they couldn't even like see each other. They couldn't see anything that was on like the other room because they were like little tiny babies. Right? Like they couldn't see what was going on each other's side. Well, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would hear Daisy, and she would be like growling, like just like just randomly out of nowhere, just like growling. And I was like, what on earth is going on? And so she would do this for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, and she wouldn't stop. Like, even when I was like, would you quit? You know, like, stop it. Like, that's enough. She still just, like, kept right on going. And then, like, out of nowhere, she would just, like, stop. Like, she just stopped. And then she would go and lay down. And then, like, seconds after that, Duke would start up. Duke would start doing it. And I am like, what on earth is going on? And then, like, he would do that for, like, a few minutes. And then that's it. He was done. And, like, they did this. They still sometimes do this. Every single night around 3 a.m. They literally, and I've literally even, like, turned on my flashlight to, like, I don't know. Like, you know, like, watch them or see if, like, maybe, like, the light would, like, you know, maybe it was, like, you know, they were dreaming or something. But no, Daisy would start out by, like, looking into the hallway and just, like, you know, growling, like growling. And then she would literally just like turn, still growling a little ways, and then stop. And then once it got, you know, once she couldn't see it anymore, she just stopped. Yeah, the end. Nothing else. And I was like, that is so weird. That's so strange. And then Duke would start up. And I'm like, what the heck? Like it wasn't like they were growling. What happened to like my brush? There it is. So Duke would literally just start growling. And then he would just like stop. Like it just stopped. It was like really, that was definitely like super, super creepy. Still to this day, like even though they're out in like the living room now with Tommy. Let me find my concealer so I can make like a center. But you will sometimes hear all three of the dogs like growling and barking. And so sometimes like I will even like look out the window to be like, maybe it's like a car or like another dog or something. But there's like nothing. Like nothing is there. So, I mean, that's just one thing that kind of happens. Is like it just, you know, it's just like that happens. Then one night, the kids were in their rooms like watching TV before bed. So they don't really get a lot of like TV time or like, I don't know, social media time. Like they just don't. But before bed, we'll give them, you know, usually about enough time to like watch like one like little kid TV show, like, you know, which is generally about anywhere from like 15 to 25 minutes or whatever, that they get to pick whatever it is that they watch or whatever. And one night it was, you know, like 7:30, I think, because we turn off the TV and they go to bed around 8. And I was like in the hallway. I think I was coming back from like the kitchen getting something to like eat or something. I can't remember 100% for sure like what I was doing, but it was something kind of something like that. And anyways, so I hear Holden just like laughing and like just like giggling and talking. And so I literally thought, you know, he was just laughing and just like playing with himself, you know, joking around with himself. And so I go in there in his room and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm talking to the man. And I'm like, oh, your stuffed animal? And he's like, no, the man. And like, I was like, what man, honey? And he's like, the man in my room. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you better be like confessing up right now what you're talking about. And he was just like, yeah, just sometimes this man comes in to talk to me. And I think he could tell that like I was like freaked out. Like, I mean, this is nice. Like, I was freaked out. And I think he could like tell that I was like really freaked out. Because he's like, never mind. And I was like, no, not never mind. Like, what is going on? But anyways, so like that would happen. But like, I feel like there's been like a couple of videos where like I'm just like, I don't know, sitting here like chit-chatting with you guys, doing my makeup, and then something will like randomly fall, or like a weird noise will happen or something like that. So yeah, my house is definitely haunted. Like, it is what it is. I'm still freaked out. My husband literally claims that like it's my imagination, it's my kids' imagination, like I don't know what I'm talking about, you know, that sort of thing. For the center of my eyes, I'm gonna go into the shade right here called Elvira. I'm just gonna take that on my finger. Okay, this is like a very, very soft shade. I don't know. It just feels very, very like crumbly. Okay, that looks cute. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for the lower lash line, if I do anything. Might be something. But I'm gonna go finish the rest of my makeup off of camera, and then I will be right back. Alright friends, and I am back, and this is the completed look. Going through my makeup collection, I realized I don't have like a dark grungy purple liquid lip or lipstick. So that's definitely going to be on my list of things that I need to get. I'm planning on placing a little order to Ulta. So definitely excited for that. But what do you guys think of this look? Are you guys loving it? Are you guys hating it? Let me know your thoughts down below. I am definitely loving it. I will say this palette is pigmented. This palette was blendable. I was able to create a really nice halo eye with this. I will say these like soft shades are like so very soft that if you go and press in a little bit too hard, it gets kind of crumbly. But I really, really, really do like these two colors. You get like a pinky kind of a one, and then you get like a pinky purple, and then you get kind of like a greenish with like a slight baby blue shift to it. For those two, those are your two shimmer options. Those are the only two shimmer options in the palette. You do have a green with some glitter in it. I have not tried this. I'm wondering if like the green with the glitter is potentially because lime greens are kind of hard to formulate, and that's definitely very much a lime green. But the mattes were pigmented, blendable, worked well together, doesn't look muddy, created a super cute, super nice look. I love the packaging on this palette. I love like the Halloween aesthetic. I love like the little imprints on the design. I think this is such like a great palette. I'm not sure if it's still available. I'm sure they might potentially restock. Definitely check them out on Instagram. I will leave their Instagram link down below. I will also leave like my Instagram link down below, so make sure you guys are definitely going and checking those out. But yeah, I am super, super happy with this. I think this is such a good, fun fall Halloween palette. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what other palettes you guys want to see me try, because next month, which is almost here, it's crazy to me that it's almost November, which means my little sweet potato is turning another year older, which makes me sad. But I'm doing like a full month of just testing out, trying out palettes. Yep, it's just a full month of testing out palettes. We're going for it. So let me know what palettes you guys would want to see. Let me know what you guys think of this palette down below. Is this something you now want to go pick up? Is this something you're okay with missing out on? Let me know that down below. But that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Click the little bell so you can be notified of all my future uploads. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.